In the ancient land of Judea, nestled between bustling Jerusalem and the serene shores of the Sea of Galilee, a Pharisee named Elihu lived a life devoted to the study and observance of the law. Respected by his peers, Elihu filled his days with prayer and rituals, believing his strict adherence to the commandments made him righteous in the eyes of God. He often thought, "Surely I am favored, for I follow the Lord's commands." On the other side of the city, in a humble tax collector's booth, lived Matthew. He was despised by many for working with the Roman occupiers, often viewed as a traitor and an extortionist. His profession brought him significant wealth but also deep guilt and loneliness. Despite his material success, Matthew's heart bore the weight of shame and isolation. One fateful day, news spread that a great teacher and miracle worker named Jesus was traveling through the region. Crowds collected, eager to hear him speak and witness his miraculous acts. Among the gathered were faithful followers, curious onlookers, and those burdened by their sins. The gathering at the temple. Elihu prepared himself as he often did for a visit to the temple. Clad in his finest robes, he strode confidently through the streets. With a sense of superiority, he surveyed the crowd, believing his devotion made him special. "Look at me," he thought. "I am one of God's chosen." Upon reaching the temple, Elihu felt a swell of pride as he entered the sacred space and made his way to the front, eager to show his piety. Meanwhile, Matthew, curious about the gathering, felt drawn to the temple but hesitated, feeling unworthy to step inside. Yet his longing for grace overpowered his fear, and he crossed the threshold. Inside the temple, Matthew stood off to the side, shrouded in humility and shame. He dared not approach the altar, burdened by his past. He observed the devout worshippers, feeling distant from their fervent devotion. 2 prayers in the temple. Elihu began to pray aloud, his voice resonating within the temple. "O God," he proclaimed confidently, "I thank you that I am not like other men, extortioners, unjust adulterers, or even this tax collector." He gestured at Matthew, relishing the attention of the onlookers nodding in agreement. Meanwhile, Matthew felt tormented by Elihu's words. With his head bowed and tears falling, he whispered, "O God, be merciful to me, a sinner." His heartfelt plea for forgiveness contrasted sharply with Elihu's boastful prayer. Elihu's words stemmed from self-righteousness, while Matthew's prayer radiated with humility. Despite Elihu's strict observance of the law, his heart brimmed with pride and contempt. In contrast, Matthew's honesty opened a door to grace. Lessons in humility. As the prayers filled the temple, the true intentions of each man were finally apparent. Jesus, observing from a distance, recognized the significance of the moment. Finally, he spoke to the crowd with authority, declaring, "I tell you, it was Matthew, the tax collector, who went home justified before God, rather than Elihu the Pharisee. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted." Those listening were struck by the revelation. The truth shone bright in their hearts, challenging their preconceived notions of righteousness. Elihu felt a flush of shame as he grappled with the weight of his pride. Why had he not recognized the mercy extended to all, even to those like Matthew, deemed unworthy? Matthew, in contrast, felt a wave of hope crash over him. For the first time in ages, he realized he was seen. His struggles acknowledged, his humility welcomed. The burdens weighing on his soul began to lift, as he sensed God's grace enveloping him. A new beginning. As the crowd began to disperse, Jesus approached Matthew. "Come, follow me," he said gently. "You are accepted." With those words, Matthew's heart swelled with a newfound sense of belonging, a love that he had long desired but never anticipated. Elihu, reflecting on the powerful lesson he had just learned, understood that righteousness extended beyond outward actions to the condition of the heart, an awakening that stirred deep within him. He resolved to seek true goodness through humility and love. Days turned into weeks, and Elihu found the courage to approach Matthew, whom he had once deemed beneath him. "Matthew, I came to speak with you," he said hesitantly. "What do you want, Elihu?" Matthew asked, surprised. "I was wrong to judge you. I thought righteousness came from my actions. Now I see I have been blind. Will you forgive me?" Elihu's vulnerability echoed through the air. Matthew's eyes softened. "You judged me based on my profession, but we both need God's mercy. Of course I forgive you." A bond forged in grace. As time passed, the friendship between Elihu and Matthew grew. They met regularly, sharing their struggles and deepening their faith. Elihu learned to incorporate humility into his life of law, while Matthew embraced his identity as a beloved child of God, moving beyond the shame of his past. Together, they served their community, reaching out to the marginalized and forgotten, demonstrating Christ's love through action. Elihu began teaching others that true righteousness lies not in strict adherence to laws but in the sincere expression of compassion and humility. He shifted focus from self-righteousness to the needs of others. Meanwhile, Matthew shared his own story, emphasizing the transformative power of God's grace to all who would listen. Their journey transformed into a movement as they encouraged people from all walks of life to acknowledge their shortcomings and accept God's love. Elihu often took the lead, stating, "Once, I thought I was better than Matthew. I believed my observance set me apart. But now, I see we must care for one another and seek mercy." Matthew echoed, "Grace is for everyone. Regardless of our pasts, God welcomes us with open arms." Final reflections. Years later, Elihu and Matthew often reminisced about their journey, marveling at how one moment of humility could change their lives forever. They recognized that their stories had become intertwined, representing a shared journey toward redemption. As they looked back on their lives, they understood the importance of inviting others into the transformative power of humility and grace. On a quiet evening, as the sun set over the hills of Judea, they stood together, filled with hope. Together, they acknowledged that everyone holds the potential for redemption, regardless of their past. God's mercy is boundless, and by extending grace to one another, they fulfilled the essence of love. As they walked away from the sunset, both Elihu and Matthew knew their mission continued. Their friendship, formed in the fires of humility and forgiveness, illuminated lives around them. They had learned that true belonging in God's kingdom is not defined by oneself, but by the grace they accept and share with others. Thus, through their enduring partnership, they exhibited a legacy of love and acceptance that would inspire generations to come. Thank you so much for watching this story all the way to the end. If it touched your heart, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who may need this message today. Your support helps us spread hope, love, and light to those who feel forgotten. You are not alone. You are loved, and you matter more than you know. Until next time, stay blessed and never stop believing.